Good old Metropolitan Police never let us down and, strangely, never shock us anymore when stories come out about your behaviour. Violent misogyny, racism, bullying and much more. This is certainly almost expected by police these days. An IOPC investigation over reports that a police officer had sex with a drunk person at a police station led the way to 9 linked investigations. The investigation was focused on teams from the Metropolitan Police's crime and disorder units in the Westminster area, but were expanded after concerns were raised by police over the conduct of colleagues. During the IOPC investigation into allegations, the team looked at mobile phones belonging to constables and found a high number of what's described as extremely offensive messages that were shared between police colleagues and contained jokes about rape and domestic violence, racism and homophobic remarks. One of the officers investigated was jovially nicknamed McRapey Raperson, whilst other messages shared said such things as, "I would happily rape you. Getting a woman into bed is like spreading butter. It can be done with a credit card, but it can be quicker and easier to use a knife. If I was single, I would happily chloroform you, and my dad kidnapped some African children and used them to make dog food." Along with the clearly depraved comments just mentioned, many messages were said to have contained reference to domestic violence, with one being reported to have said, "And my bird won't stop taking a piss. Swear to God, I'm going to smack her." Now, to be fair, I've said stuff like that before about my missus, well, ex-missus is now, but missus at the time, saying you're going to slap someone in a message isn't really, in my eyes, a big issue unless you mean it. Yes, plods should be professional, etc., but we've all been in jobs where we're supposed to be professional and still said shit like this to colleagues or mates. But let's be clear, the rape, racist and gay-hating stuff is clearly a no-go, especially for plod. The fact that many of the police constables interviewed during the investigation simply dismissed it as laddish banter, however, is a concern. Pretty piss poor Patel, of course, tried to take credit for the uncovering of this behaviour by saying in a statement that being a police officer is a privilege which has been abused by these sickening officers. It has been clear for some time that there are problems within the culture of the Metropolitan Police, which is why last year I tasked the Angelina Inquiry and the Police Inspectorate with investigating these deeply concerning issues. I expect the Metropolitan Police and the Mayor of London to implement the recommendations of this report as soon as practically possible. The public rightly expects the behaviour of the police to be beyond reproach. Standards must be raised. Now let's have it right, piss poor Patel. You had no choice but to order the inquiry. If you had your way, you probably wouldn't have bothered, but pressure from the public over so many complaints can only be swept under the carpet for so long before it becomes a trip hazard. In total, 14 police constables were investigated, and it appears that only 2 have been dismissed for gross misconduct and placed on the good old College of Policing's barred list. However, even in light of the investigation, these 2 cretins were given anonymity by the Metropolitan Police's misconduct panel. A further 4 constables were said to have attended misconduct meetings, while a further 2 received management action, and another officer received practice requiring improvement, which is apparently a process that's implemented to tackle conduct that falls short of the expectations of the public and the police service. In other words, training on how to cover your tracks. A Metropolitan spokesperson confirmed that 9 officers were still serving in the Met, and one of those who resigned has since returned as a contractor in a staff role. Sadiq Khan obviously had to get in on the story somehow, but he said he was utterly disgusted by the findings, and that anyone found to be responsible for sexism, racism, misogyny, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, bullying or harassment does not deserve to wear the Met uniform and must be rooted out. Well, Sadiq Khan, you best get busy then, because in order to do that you need to investigate every single person in the police uniform, either police constables or police staff, because I'll tell you now, this is the tip of a very large iceberg when it comes to what these cretins get up to. The investigation report remarks how the evidence of bullying, racism and misogyny were found among a team of police at Charing Cross Police Station, the exact same police station I'm due to return to on the 9th of this month to answer my bail for reporting on an incident outside the BBC. The report added that we believe these incidents are not isolated or simply the behaviour of a few bad apples, which in itself should be enough to instigate a force-wide investigation into the people who are supposed to serve and protect us all. but clearly couldn't give two fucks. A Met statement said the conduct of a team of officers at Charing Cross Police Station in central London does not represent the values of the Metropolitan Police Service. I beg to differ. We are deeply sorry to Londoners and everyone that they have failed with their appalling conduct and acknowledge how this will damage the trust and confidence of many in the Met. Since this reprehensible behaviour was uncovered in 2017, we have taken a series of measures to hold those responsible to account and stamp out unacceptable behaviour. So, these constables, based on that statement, have been found over the past 5 years, and the Met have waited until the report was concluded to fire them or otherwise discipline them, meaning we've had these people on our streets ignoring our crimes and fitting us up all this time, instead of the IOPC making a discovery and the Met fucking them off straight away. As I said earlier, I think the give her a slap comment personally isn't a major thing. Lots of people say this type of stuff to friends and colleagues, providing of course they don't mean it. And let's be fair, people, most men watching this has probably had their missus say to them at some point or another that they'll give you a slap in jest, and probably in all seriousness too. But the other comments are not the kind of thing you go around saying, whether plod or not. Big thank you to channel supporters, especially these guys. Your support is truly appreciated. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.